Hey everybody, this is Grace, and I'm sitting out here once again, as is my usual lately, at 7:45 p.m. July 1st, 2025 here in north central Texas, well, northeast of Dallas. Yeah, and today our temperature, my SUV is reading it wrong, but I think the high today was 90. At one point it said in my SUV, it said it was 95 or 96, I don't know. I was out earlier. But no, right now it's saying 92, but our high today was 90 or 91. Come on. This is July 1st in Texas, really? Which, hey, I'm not complaining about. It's just surprising. Then I looked on my, whatever it is on my phone that pops up. I don't even know. I don't know if it's the Weather Channel or what, but it said that a couple days this week, the high is going to be 88. And today was 91. Really? And the rest of the week, it's, the next few days, it's going to be cool. So that is so unusual. I just remember, usually it's 100 plus. 100 or 100 plus. So, this is great. But anyway, I have several thoughts on my mind. To make videos, like some of it just more like a vlog, and that's usually what mine do. Is I don't generally start off as a vlog. I usually have a topic, but it turns into one, and just a variety of topics. Like I have thoughts on, like when doing deliveries and everything. The ones that stood out. I started doing in 2023, so it's 2023, 24, now 25, and just some of them that just stood out. Whether it was good, bad, ugly, whatever, But I was thinking about the ones that were just. The ones that stood out the most, that were questionable or kind of bad or questionable or something just wasn't right. And some of them I had were funny, but overall I would just do it for health insurance. But overall, all it was just go to the store, go to the restaurant, pick up their food, go to their home, drop it off. No drama, nothing else. No big scene, no. That was it. That was fine. But some of them, yeah. Like, there was one that still bugs me. And it was in a neighborhood, in an area I was not at all familiar with. And the roads, all of it, I was somewhat new to it. Not really, but I don't know. I knew I wasn't doing screenshots of like the street names and the number where I would be delivering, street number where I was delivering. But I went to home and a woman opened the door, and she was probably in her 30s, and there was a guy standing behind her, or sitting down behind her, like he was watching her. Kind of like it was her boyfriend or something, you never know. And he was watching her. And she just had this look on her face that they both look kind of like, I don't know, like maybe not exactly on the rough side, but I don't know. Something was so off about all of it. And I got this impression that she was kind of scared of him. Now, if she would have done this the hand sign for help me, I would have known something. But then it was at night. It was just almost turning completely dark. And Adam was out in the SUV. He was going with me because he liked to get out. He was working from home, so he liked to get out back then. Anyway, so I got back in the SUV, and I was telling him something just wasn't right about that. And I said, I don't know. And so, but as I was walking, actually, I remember as I was walking back, and he heard it, he was sitting in the SUV, just a really weird noise. And I know there are animals that scream like a woman screams. It can sound like a woman screaming. And that's the impression I got. So I ran and got in the SUV, walked pretty fast to get it back in, just in case it was, And he said he heard it too. And we, started to drive off. And then I said, but I don't know, it sounds like a woman. And I had not, like I said, screenshot the address, street name, and the street number. And as we, were weaving our way back out there, I did not know how I could check to find out what was the address, and all that. But I thought maybe we should call the police, but it was too late. Because I didn't know where I had delivered to. Because that could have been her. You see, but my gut had said it was an animal. And I needed to get myself to safety. And so anyway, that one stood out. I think that one out of all of them is the one that really still bugs me. There's that one that bugged me, and one I delivered to, and Adam was with me again, and he even got a little freaky because it was out where there were a lot of ranches. Different ranches, there are a lot of horses, cat. I don't know about cattle out there or not, but I really hadn't been all that deep into that. I mean, there are a lot of ranches around here where I live, and I told him, I said, this must be. We drove up. I said, it seemed like it was at the back of the house, and it was a big sprawling house. I mean, seriously, and it had a half moon's driveway, and I told him when we looked, I was like, this must be where the, what do they call them, hands, cow, I don't know, people who work on these farms, where they live. Maybe they were for the whole area, because all the rest of the houses were just really nice and beautiful. This one looked kind of like, whoa, yeah, and anyway, it was a French doors for I didn't know where I would find the door. It was so big. And when I drove up, I saw, into the first, well, I am going all over the place here. I'm sounding like I'm nervous. I'm not nervous. But as I was, got out, he was saying in the SUV, and as I got out to deliver, it was some kind of a, macaroons or something, from a real expensive place in an outdoor mall, and it was very expensive. That's all that it was, and it just seemed so off. Really, stuff was so off. And when I got out of the SUV, I parked in that circle, that half circle, half moon thing. And as I was walking, I noticed this wire across, electrical wire across the driveway. And I don't know what it is from my childhood, but I always thought, still to this day think if that's the case, it's scary. Something's not going to be right. I don't know what it is. I've seen it, I'm from Texas, but anyway, so so I'm walking up there, and all I see is that I could go to. Really, there might have been something way down on the other side, and I was not going to have myself way over there. And plus, it was kind of behind a wall. No, if he couldn't see me, no, thank you. And if Adam couldn't see me, no. If nobody from the street could see me, no. I'm not going to do that. So I went in into those French doors. Like I said, it was French doors, and I said, well, I'm living right here. And when I just looked up to see, and it was so weird what was behind there. It was kind of like, you would think you're checking into, like, a hospital maybe, or the nurse's station in a hospital, on a hospital's floor, or a hotel, and they had so many rooms down there, like it was a hotel, but this was not. Okay, in an area where they would have, I've never seen anything like that, really. And it was so freaky, it just made my head kind of spin, and I'm like, I'm out of here. And I left, and I told Adam some point after that, I don't know, months later, I said, I'd like to go by there just to see if what was going on at the time, there was some, like they had taken roof shingles or something off, I don't know. Or was it on siding? It was, yeah. You know, we were both kind of curious about what all that was, what was going on. He said, no, you do that, you know, that darkness and all that stuff. So, okay, so basically, you know, he saw it as all kind of dark, and it was in a way. It just, everything just seemed to be a little off, all around. And there was that kind of thing. Those two stood out. There were other ones, you know, that kind of just stood out. And it makes, you know, makes me wonder if I was alone and all, would I have delivered? And, you know, because that would be weird, really. I mean, that was weird. Somebody ordering just macaroons. And it wasn't like it was a whole bunch of them. I think it was like 2 or something. Yeah. What else? And then, like I said, there were funny ones and all that. But for some reason, you know, I was thinking about the kind of scary ones. You know. And I guess a lot of people who deliver, you know, do these things, they experience these scary ones. And there's some, and maybe scary is not the right word. Sometimes they're just questionable. What is happening? What's going on here? And that's kind of weird. But overall, I mean, that was 2 out of all the ones I've done that I, you know, think of as those were the scary ones. And there are other ones, I'm sure. Just not thinking of them right now. In fact, you know, like I say, sometimes in my videos I might have a topic and something makes it more like a little vlog, and that's because right now I'm distracted. I'm always distracted, no matter where I am when I'm doing videos. But it's because there's some people, I don't know. I mean, where do y'all think you're living? Or where do you think you're visiting? But they drove up. It was 2 women. I guess they're women. They were really short. And they had dresses on. And I was thinking they were going to the house behind us. On the other side of the road, really. And I think that they have church meetings in their home. But no, they parked next to the house, but they went to a house kind of catty corner to it. And they had 3 or 4 kids, I don't know. But the kids, the boys, they would just run out from that house, and they would run into okay, people live here. People can hit their kids. I mean, these are little kids. I'm talking like, they're kids. They're not even preteens. Not even, you know, not even, I don't know what age, but nowhere, you know, maybe under 10 years old. Under it. And it was like, so it distracted me because I'm like, I'm watching out to make sure, you know, nothing happens to them. But you know, like 2 of the women, they would walk. It's like, okay, this is not that kind of a street, you know, where kids are out in the middle of the street and running around. No, they got some people that live around the other corner I'd be afraid of. That would, you know, they just drive, you know, they have kind of sporty cars, and they drive a little bit too fast and a little too loud. I haven't seen them in a while, but so anyway, I'm kind of rambling. I'm telling you, I don't know why I'm rambling, but I do that quite often. This right now seems a little worse. So, okay, there was that topic was on my mind. Another one was, the other day I was sitting out here, and this has happened several times, and I was making a video, I don't even know if I put it up yet, about a neighbor who has said some really weird things to us over the years. And one time she said something about she should be able to, you know, something was said inside of our home or happened inside our home. I don't even remember anymore. It was quite a long while ago. And she said, oh, well, I should have been able to hear that. she said something more that made me go, what the? But I was in shock that she would say something like that. And I don't know, I don't remember it now exactly, but somebody who says stuff like that, she says weird stuff every once in a while. And then there are these 2 windows on the side of their house that the only place the only thing they can see really is our driveway. Okay, in front of our house, our driveway, and just ours. And unless they can see over the trees to see the rest of the neighborhood, no. I don't think so, no. And it's made me wonder over the years why they did that. And one time, and Adam saw it too, they had some kind of I don't know what they would have been called then. They changed so many, like some kind of surveillance thing, to watch outside. Right in the window, the one that shows just our driveway. And he got freaked. I did. And, some things you just let go. But anyway, there's so much more to this. So many times I've told Adam things like I like that our tree, one of our crepe myrtles, Texas, the land of crepe myrtles. And I actually found out the other day, we were looking stuff up, and Adam was telling me, look that up to see. It was a state tree, no, but it's a state shrub. It's Texas state shrub. It's crepe myrtle. They're all over the place, man, let me tell you. Anyway, I didn't know it was a shrub. So, anyway, I like that when it blooms, and it's more than one time a year, that it covers up those windows where they can't see. And there's no sunlight going through there. No reason for Adam says that those rooms are vacant now, and nobody's ever in them. So I got freaked out the other day when I came out here. And the reason I see them is because when I go to shut my door, I get in my SUV, driver's side, shut the door, and when I go to shut it, I have to look in that direction, and that's right within my sight. And they're upstairs, and that's what I'm going to see. Okay. And anyway, and they were both open, both of them. Like, that is so freaky, especially with all the stuff they've said over all these years. Just weirdness all around. Okay. And then, I guess a day later, maybe. Yeah, because it was past a few days. And Adam told me that the woman, she's my age, she's 6 months older than I. She had, I guess, he likes to walk up and down the street and stuff. And she'll stop, and, both of them will talk to him. I think he's the one more than anything. But he said that she told him that one of the women that had cleaned our house, she had actually, from what I remember, she had actually told us, gave references to 2 different ones over years. And both of them, they'll do it right the first time, and then they'll screw up after that. And she was one of them. This woman, the next door neighbor, told Adam that she came and did her house just recently, and it was bad. She just didn't want to do stuff. She slowed down a bunch, and she just wouldn't clean like she should. So Adam told me that, and my brain started thinking, I bet it's her. I bet it is the people who clean the house. They go into these rooms and they open up the blinds. You see? And they open up the blinds, whether they're cleaning the windows or they're just open up the blinds because maybe there's no lights in those rooms and the rooms aren't being used. Whatever is the case, but I told him, he said, yeah, that's exactly, I think it was Saturday, and that's exactly when he even saw the windows, the blinds were open. So trust me, it's freaked us out a bit. You know, the stuff that she said over time. And but yeah, the blinds are still open. So, you know, so sometimes things have a, you know, reason that you can think, yeah, that might be it. And not so sinister as it seems at first, you know. But like I said, stuff she said, she's actually spoken those words. Made it kind of sinister, anything. So, okay, another thing that's on my mind is that I have to go next week to get to renew my driver's license. You know, I had all the health issues going on. And we lost one of our dogs, and I didn't schedule my appointment to renew my driver's license. Never knew that you know, 47 years I've been driving, never had to do that before. Adam had done it, and I knew that I needed to do it, but I was just so, the health, the dog, the whole, everything going on. So it was a month late, just over a month, and I have to go do that next week. And I'm worried because I think it was 2 or 3 months of a wait. And one of the times I called my doctor's office to leave a message or something, I spoke to this young woman. She was an MA, I guess, and she wanted me to come in. You know, it's a long story background, all that. And I told her I don't have my driver's license right now. I have to, you know, schedule a couple days later, that kind of thing. And she said, oh, you need to get that done. And she went on saying, you know, they might have, if you don't bring everything you can think of with you, papers and everything, because they'll send you home. And yeah, I've had considered this all along. What if you go through there and they don't like the papers you have? So you got to wait another 2, 3, 4 months, however long. And I had seen at one point, I'd seen yeah, there were places that you could go to, cities, different cities that were like way small towns, not cities but towns, and they were kind of far off, you know, to go. And so it seemed like you had to go there and wait to see if you would actually be able to come in. You know, just, this is so stupid. We never had this before. You know, stop messing with people's time. And yeah, it's stupid. It is flat out stupid. Yeah, 47 years I've been driving. Never had to do anything this stupid before. So, and then there's nobody you can call either. And there's nobody to call and ask which town can I go and then get in line, or, you know, have it done that day possibly. Because see, Adam would have to drive me. We'd have to drive wherever, real far. So, and I worry about that, you know, after that, like that MA, you know, for somebody to speak to one person, and only one person, you know, commented, and I didn't ask her anything like that. She just offered it. I mean, it makes me go, oh my goodness. You know, I mean, if that's the reputation they have, I mean, what are the odds she's going to say something like that in the first place? And then when she does, it's that bad reputation they've already earned for doing that to people. Can you imagine, you know, getting up there, you have stuff, but that's not what they want. You know, you can say they're probably a bunch of bitches that would do stuff like that. You know, some people, I'm sorry for the word, but some people, they like that. You give them a little bit of power and it goes to their head and they want more. You know, so if they can turn somebody away and somebody have to wait, it just makes their day. There are some psycho people like that. You know, I'm using the psycho word as, you know, not like diagnosing, but we used to use those words. Like, I was thinking about that today too, how, again, none of this is my first, but except for that driver's thing, but how we use words, you know, like psycho, and we're not saying, you know, they have, you know, some personality disorder. Just say they're so psycho. We used to say that. I remember when I first heard it, I guess I was a teenager, and I thought it was so cool. Say that person's psycho. You know, it was kind of scary too. So, okay, and another one is like not like, but is delusional. The way we use it as, you know, everyday speak. Not what it is. You know. Anyway, other things was, I was thinking about people who get online, make videos, whatever social media. I generally only seldom ever look at any. In fact, I just deleted the other ones off of my cell phone. But mine would be, you know, what I do is YouTube. And my original channel, you know, to watch videos. My original channel that I used to make videos will be 11 years old in August, next month. And so I've been around. And I was thinking about the people that I've seen on YouTube, the ones that, you know, I mean, how many of us have this happen? And it doesn't have to be about the same topic or whatever, but you see somebody, and they're like a train wreck waiting to happen. You know, something like that, but it's not a kind of a train wreck waiting to happen that you would feel sorry for them. It's like they deserved it. Nobody deserves it, okay? I can't even, I have too much empathy for people. You know how some people, sometimes you know, people say, well, don't you want something? You know, they you know, vengeance isn't mine, so that kind of thing. But, you know, you kind of, sometimes you want to see that this person got what they deserved. And not anything harsh, but just got, you know, whatever it is that they deserve, you know, lawfully, whatever it is. Or socially, like to be, I don't want to say shunned, because that's something different, but for people to say, no, I'm not buying what you're selling. You know, something like that, for people to turn away from really dark people. Not really dark. I shouldn't say that, because some stuff that's really dark is way out there. But, you know, just people who really have nothing, like I made a video before about redeemable about them. Nothing good about them. They just put out such, like they're kind of in a way filth. You know, I don't know how else to describe. I mean, there's so many. Actually, I know plenty of ways to describe it. It's just that, yeah. I was thinking about how it is that some of these people who have, you know, bad personalities, they're bad influence. You know, if somebody's listening to them, and you know, they want to listen. They look up to these people, and they're not people you should look up to. You know, these are people who are saying bad stuff, that they're lying, and they're trying to teach. You know, some of them try to teach others to do just as bad. You know, like, you know, immoral or unethical. Sometimes it's, you know, yeah. Hey, hold on. Okay, and it made me think about somebody I've known since birth. I've known her my whole life, and how she, you know, it's kind of like it's divided. She was like, I don't have anything to do with her, and I haven't for many years. And, but I do see her on Facebook. Okay, and it's just basically a Facebook for people I've known my whole life. And then some school people, the people I went to school with, they have all of that kind of stuff. And I'm hardly ever on it. Hardly ever. Seriously. But she'll every once in a while do a like on a video or post or whatever I have. Not a video, but a post. Like a meme or something I thought was funny, or, you know, something like that. She'll give a thumbs up or something. But really no connection, really. But I can see, like, she's one of those that makes a whole lot of posts. And I can see a whole lot of people comment to her. But, and And I wonder, how is it that this woman has so many people who, the things they say to her about how they really love her and care for her, and they find her to be such a sweet person and this and that. And I'm like, oh, really? And then, but I remember that this, at least my memory could be wrong, that she had like people, always have had people who really care about her and people who really hate her, really can't stand her. And she is quite histrionic. And this is nothing new, like I said, my whole life. And, but I totally understand about people who are master manipulators and so on and so forth. Those whole personality traits, characteristics, how they work it to where the people they want, that are gullible. I don't want to say gullible. I don't want to blame the victim, but some people, they'll work hard to get them on their side, and everything's on their side, kind of thing. They want all the people, a lot of people. And you have to wonder, does she really think anything about any of these people? Okay, here comes yet another one. Tell you, I get distracted. I think that's one of our neighbors. He's probably kind of ticked off himself about, he is so nosy, but I'm looking to. But yeah, because it's like people are having parties or something over here. A lot of cars and everything. And like I said, the kids running out in the road. Don't let your kids run out in the road, There are other people who live here and people who are driving home from work and all that. And they might not see a kid jet out. Yeah. Anyway. But anyway, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about, how people like her have so many people who like idolize them. We shouldn't idolize anybody if you're Christian. They do. They will say things to her. And it's just like these other people that are online. And you can read the comments. People are saying, oh, I just love you so much, and you're such a wonderful person. And I'm thinking, this is not a wonderful person who says such horrible things about anybody, and how she is way up there and everybody else is way down below. And she is definitely not way up there. Okay, everybody's going to come out now. I am really distracted, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'll talk to y'all in another video. Bye.